Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Emily. In today's video, I thought I would bring you guys a massive collective book haul because I haven't posted a book haul in quite a few months now. And as you can see, I've accumulated quite a few books recently, whether they have been sent to me or I've bought them myself. Most of them I have bought myself. So let me tell you, there has been a lot of damage done to my wallet recently. If you watched one of my recent vlogs, I just came back from Sydney recently. I do live in Melbourne, but I went on a little trip to Sydney and I did buy quite a few books when I was there because of course you can't go shopping in a different city and not buy books. So I feel like that's where most of the damage has been done. Before these fall down and fall on my head, I'm actually going to take one of the piles down. So bear with me for a second. One pile is down. I haven't even counted how many books there are, so I'm going to do that first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 29 books. So we're almost at 30. I'm not going to talk about the books too much or give you guys like a massive synopsis of any of them, but I'm just going to try to go through them sort of rapid fire. The first book I have is Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. I bought this recently because I've seen some really good reviews on it, and I did actually want this other cover, but unfortunately this is the only cover that they had. I still do really like this cover. I haven't even taken the sticker off it, but I still do really like this cover, but I feel like I do prefer the other one a lot more. But this one is just so much easier to find and buy in Australia. I'm going to read a little bit of the back because I honestly don't really know much about it myself. So it says, 17-year-old Alosa, daughter of the feared Pirate King, is on a mission. She must retrieve an ancient hidden map, the key to a legendary treasure trove. Alosa needs to conceal her considerable combat skills and allow herself to be captured by her enemies, giving her the perfect opportunity to search their ship. So honestly, that sounds really good to me. I think it may be a YA fantasy, which means I feel like it'll be very quick and easy to get to. And I believe there's another book that comes after this one as well, so I think it's a duology, but I could be wrong. The next book I have is Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher, which is the second book in the new Dreamfront Billionaires series, I believe. I haven't actually read the first book yet. I am going to read it very soon in a video coming up, but honestly this series kind of intimidates me a little bit because they are so thick and I'm like, how can a romance possibly be that thick? But then again, the Boys of Tallman series is my favorite series ever, and they are like literally 800 to 900 page books, so I feel like I shouldn't be judging this one. This one was actually sent to me by Hachette Australia, which is a publisher here, and I am so grateful and so excited to read this. I believe they sent me the first one as well actually, so I definitely need to get to them. The next one we have is The Book of Azriel by Amber V. Nicole, which is the first book in the Gods and Monsters series. I have heard such great things about this recently. Like all of a sudden this book is just all over my For You page. I keep seeing everyone talk about it, and of course I had to go and buy it. All I know is that it's a romantasy. I honestly have no idea what it's about, and I think I want to go into it like that because I don't want to go into it with any expectation. I feel like when I go into a book with like sort of low expectations, it ends up exceeding my expectations and I like it a lot more. So I don't want to give myself these really high expectations for this book or anything like that. I just realized the writing in this book is absolutely tiny, and it is such a thick book as well, so it's gonna take me a while to get through, but I have really high hopes for this. I have a feeling that I'm just gonna love this book. The next book I have is Leather and Lark by Bryn Weaver, which comes after Butcher and Blackbird. I read Butcher and Blackbird, I believe, towards the end of last year or maybe this year. I honestly can't really remember. I have no recollection of time, but I honestly really enjoyed it. It's like kind of like a murder romance. It's between two serial killers, and it was like really funny at the same time as being gory and just shocking me the whole time I was reading the book. So honestly, I'm very excited to see where this one is going to go. I think this is following another two serial killers who fall in love, so it's the same like synopsis and idea. And I did actually read the trigger warning page at the front of the book, and it actually sounds a lot worse than the first book, but I love that Bryn Weaver puts the trigger warnings in the front of her books because a lot of authors need to do that don't, and I appreciate that, even if it kind of scares me to read the book. I might actually end up listening to this one as an audiobook because I've heard a lot of people say that these two books are really good as audiobooks. The next one is The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. I actually bought two Sally Hepworth books recently. The other one is right here actually, so I might as well talk about them together. I actually also bought Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth, which I showed in a haul over on my TikTok, which if you're not following, make sure you go and do that. But in the comments of that video, someone said that this book is really good, but they also recommended The Soulmate, so that's why I went and bought this one as well. These are both little thrillers, and I honestly love the cover of Sally Hepworth's books. I've never actually read any before, but I love that all of her books match, and I feel like they like look like a series on a bookshelf even though they're not. And I'm honestly very excited to read her writing for the first time because I've heard such good things about it. Darling Girls is following a group of sisters, and I believe they go back to their family home where a body has been discovered, and it says they are key witnesses or are they prime suspects. So that sounds really interesting. And then this one says Gabe is alone at the cliff's edge, his arms are outstretched, palms facing the empty air. He said she jumped, he wouldn't lie. Before the woman went off the cliff, Pippa and Gabe were happy. They had the kind of marriage that everyone envies, as well as 2 sweet young daughters, a supportive family, and a picturesque cliffside home, which would have been idyllic had the tall beachside cliffs not been so popular among those wishing to end their lives. Next up, I have Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer. This is also the first book in a new series, and the cover kind of reminded me of Icebreaker, and I've also heard some really good things about this as well. I feel like I'm going to say that with every single book. Of course I've heard good things about them, that's why I've bought them, but I honestly really liked Icebreaker. I feel like it's one of those books that has very mixed reviews, and I'm not the type of person that likes smut in books, but I don't think Icebreaker is as spicy and smutty as a lot of people make it out to be, and I actually quite enjoyed it. I loved the characters and I actually loved the plot in that book. So because this gave me similar vibes, of course I had to go and buy it. Then I bought the next 2 books in the Natural series. So I bought All In and Bad Blood by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is book 3 and 4 in the series, and I've only read the first book so far, but I honestly really loved it, and I'm very excited to get to these eventually. The only annoying thing is that I've been waiting for these to be published in Australia for so long, and then they sent me copies that are bigger than my first 2 books, so they don't even match on my bookshelf. I don't know why I got given like copies that aren't actually the Australian published ones, so I'm a little bit confused. I can't be bothered returning them. The Dare by Natasha Preston. As you guys are watching this, I actually read this in a recent vlog where I was reading thrillers for a week, so if you want to see my thoughts on this book, make sure to go and watch that. It's actually the previous video to this. This is just a little thriller, and it is about a bunch of people who are in their final year of school, so they are seniors. So in this town I live in, at the end of the school year, they get given these like pranks that are actually dares that they have to do either in school or out of school, and the last few years someone has ended up turning up murdered, and that's all I'm going to tell you guys about this book. But I honestly did quite enjoy it, but if you want to see my full thoughts, as I just said, make sure to go and watch that video. Culty by Mariana Zapata. I bought this secondhand from someone off Facebook for like $5, which is such a steal because Mariana Zapata's books are so expensive in Australia. In fact, I think they might be like quite expensive everywhere because they are all like self-published, and this is the self-published edition. This is a soccer romance, I believe, which is very interesting. I've never read a soccer romance before, but I'm very excited to. I think it might have been Larry and Steph's video that they did together. I think they both said that this was their favorite Mariana Zapata book, and so of course I had to go and buy it. If not their favorite, I think it was like up there as one of their favorites, and so I'm very excited for this because I've read 2 other books from her and absolutely loved them, so I feel like I have quite high expectations for this one. I can't remember if I showed this one in my last collective book haul, but I bought Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer. I've had this on my bookshelves for quite a few months now, that's why I don't really know if I showed it in another video or not, but this is another one that I've heard some really great things about for a really long time, and it's one of those books that I see mentioned on BookTube a lot more than BookTok. Like I don't really see anyone talking about this over on BookTok, but it says he's a troubled young actor, Hollywood's newest heartthrob, struggling with fame as a star of the latest superhero franchise. Through scandal after scandal, addiction on top of addiction, a flurry of paparazzi hunt him as he fights to conquer his demons. She's a single mother, assistant manager at a grocery store, existing in monotony with her 5-year-old daughter. I can't read. I literally can't read, but I'm assuming it's about a star and this grocery assistant manager lady. I literally cannot speak today, and I have a really blocked nose, so I'm struggling to speak anyway. Then I have this book called Moonstone by Laura Purcell, which was sent to me by HarperCollins. This honestly looks really good. From the look of the front cover, I feel like this might be like a little bit of a YA fantasy as well. It says, following a scandal at the Vauxhall Pleasure Gardens, Camille is sent to the woods to live with her reclusive godmother and her strange daughter Lucy. Cast out from polite society, she must learn to live by her godmother's strict rules. Camille has never met anyone quite like Lucy before, and as they grow closer and And as they grow closer and cross forbidden boundaries, strange things begin to happen. Mysterious deaths, claw masks raking the doors, and the nights are pierced by the howls of a creature that sound almost otherworldly. Should Camilla be more afraid of what's hiding in the woods or her own heart? So that sounds really, really interesting. So thank you to HarperCollins for sending me this book. It's also very, very short. It's literally less than 300 pages, so I feel like this will be very, very easy to read. Then I bought Lovely War by Julie Berry. Literally bought this because I saw Destiny read this in a video recently, and honestly her review on it just made me want to buy it straight away. It did take a couple of weeks until this book was back in stock, so I don't know if that was her influence that made it go out of stock, but I just had to go and buy this and pick it up. I only got this delivered a few days ago, and honestly it's a lot thicker than I was expecting it to be. I am very, very intimidated by this, but I feel like it's one of those books that will just be very beautiful writing, and I feel like I will love it. I just feel like it's one of those books that will take me a while to actually get through. Next up we have Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, which is also a book that I read in my recent vlog, so if you want to see my full thoughts, go and watch that. But I actually had this one sent to me from someone from my Amazon wishlist, which is so lovely, so thank you to rkb.reads over on Instagram. Honestly, it just makes my entire day when you guys send me books, and honestly when I first got this I thought that the note was missing, and then as I was flicking through the pages I did end up finding the Amazon wishlist note. So thank you so much to Rebecca for sending me this book. All I'm gonna say is that I absolutely loved it, but you guys have to go and watch that video again to see my full thoughts on this. Okay, we are officially onto the second pile, so I need to try to bring this down without dropping it on top of my head. I love that like Nellie's just laying in the background doing her own thing, like she literally has not moved the whole time that I've been filming this. But anyway, the next book I bought was Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tan. A few of these books that I'm going to go through now I did show in a recent vlog when I went to Sydney, because I was just showing them in the vlog as I was buying them on my trip. But I honestly only bought this because I think the cover is absolutely gorgeous. I have no idea what it's about. I've never even seen a review on this book. I'm sure there's lots of reviews out there and mutuals of mine that have read this, but I only bought it because of the cover, and I'm honestly very intrigued to see what happens when I go into it. I'm not going to read any of the back because I feel like buying a book by the cover, I'd rather just go into it blind with zero expectation. The next book I bought was Snow Globe by So Young Park. I probably said that name incorrectly. This one is literally following like a world where they pretty much live in like this dome or like snow globe, I'm pretty sure. And I saw Rachel Catherine read this in a vlog recently, and she was talking about the synopsis of this, and honestly it just made me want to read it and try it out for myself. Even though I know that she didn't love the book, I know that she enjoyed the book to a degree but didn't actually love it. I just thought, why not give it a go myself? Maybe I'll end up loving it, because I know a lot of people have different book tastes, and that's the whole point of reading. The next book I have is Tiny Pretty Things, and I'm not even going to try to say these authors' names, but I'll just show you guys real quick. I actually have a funny story behind this one. So I recently read Little White Lies by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and I didn't like it at all because the synopsis that I thought the book was not actually what it was. And I mentioned that in a TikTok video, and pretty much I said how I thought that book was about a ballet school where someone gets murdered, and I obviously got it all confused, and someone told me that it's actually this book that I'm talking about. So of course I had to go and buy this one because this is actually the synopsis that I wanted out of a book. And so now I honestly feel like I have such high expectations for this, because I feel like it's been a long time coming since I have a book with that synopsis, if that makes any sense. And honestly, I'm now a little bit scared that this isn't going to live up to the hype for me that I'm expecting it to in my head. Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I honestly don't know what this is about either, but it's a very, very short one. I believe it's like just over 300 pages. Not even, it's literally less than 300 pages. So this is a very, very short book. And again, I've seen such good things about this recently. I see people raving about this book all the time. I think this is one of those books where I haven't seen anything negative about it, but I am going to have my expectations low just because I don't want to have this like idea for myself that doesn't end up living up to that. I honestly am very, very intrigued by this. I love the cover of this book as well. Like, I honestly have no idea what to expect out of this. Love Justin by Natalie Murray. This one was actually sent to me from a publisher as well, and I honestly cannot remember for the life of me who sent this to me, so I apologize, but thank you to the publisher that sent this to me. I honestly just can't remember because it's been quite a few months now since I received this. This is just a cutesy little romance. I feel like this is the kind of book that I need to save for summer. I remember last year I had this like idea in my head that I was going to go through summer reading so many books, and then in Australia, or at least in Melbourne, we didn't really have that good of a summer. I feel like it was literally raining the whole summer and we didn't really get that hot weather, so I didn't end up reading all of these like cutesy little summer romances that I was expecting to. So hopefully this year is a lot better, because this is a book that I would love to read on the beach. The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. I also talked about this in a recent vlog, but pretty much I said I literally literally only bought this book because it reminded me of the Gilmore Girls, which is actually a show that I only ever watched and finished for the first time very, very recently. I think I started watching it in like October or November, and then I finished it like a couple of months ago, and I literally loved it. I can definitely see myself watching that show many times and it becoming like a comfort show of mine. So that's the only reason why I bought this book, because it gives that vibe, and the author's name is Laurie Gilmore. Like, it might as well be Lorelai Gilmore. I'm gonna try to read this very, very soon because we are in the colder seasons in Australia right now, but I don't know if I will because I have so many books on my priority TBR and I just can't expect to get to all of them this year. As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Souffle Cateau. This one hasn't been on my TBR for that long, and it's actually a book that's on my July TBR, so I am going to try to read it this month. I don't know anything about this book either. I literally bought this because I saw one TikTok about it and one TikTok talking about how emotional this book is, and honestly I haven't had a book make me feel really, really emotional in quite a few months now, and that's a book that I'm kind of looking for. I want a tearjerker and I want a book that's going to make me feel, and I'm really, really hoping that this one does it for me. Out on a Limb by Hannah Burnham Young. This one has literally been on my to buy list for such a long time, and I could only just get my hands on it in Australia. This is not the cover I wanted. I actually do prefer like the original cover, but for some reason I could never find it anywhere here, and so now that I believe it's becoming like more traditionally published, I could get my hands on it, so that's fine because I do really want to read this. I'm honestly really excited for this because I know it's going to be very different and it's very inclusive for a lot of people as well, which I'm very excited to read about. And I'm not spoiling anything. It does have the pregnancy trope in it, which I'm a little bit nervous about because I don't know if I really like the pregnancy trope very often, but I've heard a lot of people say that it's like done so perfectly in this, so maybe I will really love it in this. The next one, of course, is Reckless by Lauren Roberts, which is the new release in the Powerless trilogy. Of course I had to go and buy this the day it came out, and I literally read it in like 2 days since the day I bought it. So this is already completely read and fully annotated by me, and I absolutely loved it. I did end up giving it 5 stars, but honestly looking back I feel like it would be like more 4 or 4.5 stars, just because now that I look back and think about it more, it wasn't everything I wanted. As much as I loved it and I loved the banter between Kai and Peyton, I just feel like there was quite a few things for me missing in this book, and I just like wanted to convince myself that it was a 5-star read. So I need to really like confirm my rating on that by the end of the month for my wrap-up video, because honestly I'm still not really entirely sure how to feel. But I love Lauren Roberts' writing. I still think this book was absolutely amazing. It was just missing like a main element for me. This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I feel like Carly Fortune's writing is very, very hit or miss for a lot of people, and the only other book I've read from her is Every Summer After, which I actually really, really liked. I remember when that book came out, it had a lot of mixed reviews and a lot of controversy around it for some reason. Like, people thought that it was just like the worst writing ever, but I honestly ate it up and I really, really liked it. I can't really remember much about it because it was like a couple of years ago now, but I remember really liking it, and so I have very high expectations for this as well. This is also going to be a book that I save for summertime because I feel like it would just ruin the experience for me if I read it now when we're literally in the middle of winter. Okay, I feel like this is taking a lot longer than I expected it to. We have 4 books to go. So the next one is Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek. Someone commented on my TikTok that they prefer the cover that they have, which is the US cover, and honestly I completely agree. That cover is absolutely adorable and I hadn't seen it before I bought this one, but honestly that cover makes me more excited, and I feel like it explains more about the synopsis of this book than this cover does, so it makes me even more excited to read this. Again, all I know is that this is a little romantasy, and I feel like it kind of gives like fairy tale vibes based on that other cover, which is something that I'm very, very excited about. Like, it kind of gives me like Once Upon a Broken Heart vibes. I may be like completely off. Oh, okay, this one I'm really excited about, and I have no clue what it's about or what the genre of this book even is, and that is The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I've been seeing so many people look for this book and like go out of their way to go and find this recently, and I was like, it must be a good book if everyone's trying to go and buy this right now. And it was also like out of stock for quite a few weeks, so when I saw it back in stock, what did I do? I bought it straight away. So I'm gonna actually read a little bit of the back right now so we can learn about it a little bit together. It says, in the small mountain town of Jasper, North Carolina, the Farrow women are known for their thriving flower farm and the mysterious curse that has haunted them for generations. When Susanna Farrow disappeared, she left her daughter June to be raised by her grandmother. Everyone in Jasper is certain it's only a matter of time before she finds the same end, but June has kept secret that her unraveling has already begun. After her grandmother's death, June follows a series of clues that link her mother's disappearance appearance to the town's dark history, leading finally to a red door. Behind it may lay the answer to the mysteries that have always lingered like a dark shadow. Upon crossing the threshold, June embarks on a journey that will not only change both the past and the future, but entangle her fate and her heart in a star-crossed love. So this is giving like fairy tale, magical sort of vibes, like a little romantasy, and I am so excited for this. Honestly, I have really high expectations for this, and I don't know if I should, but I feel like this is like a 5-star read incoming. Another one that I think may be like a 5-star read, just because I've seen some really great reviews on this recently as well, is The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. I'd heard some really great things about this over on Bookstagram actually, like such a random place, but I saw this one person post a review on this and I can't remember where it was, but it made me go and buy it straight away, and I'm very excited for this. I'm gonna read the back of this one as well, just because I feel like the cover doesn't exactly match what this book is actually about. So it says, recently deceased Delphi Bookham has just met the one in the afterlife, but is devastated when a mix-up means he is immediately sent back to Earth. Delphi is given a second chance and accepts a deal in which she can return to her previous life in London and reconnect with the mysterious stranger she's sure is her soulmate. The challenge, she only has 10 days to find him, 10 days to make him fall for her. Oh, and he has no recollection of them ever having met. I think this sounds amazing. It kind of gives me like the same feeling as an Ashley Poston book, which I've absolutely loved. So I'm very excited for this. I feel like I'm going to absolutely love this as well. And the last book I have is The Ashes of the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent, which comes after The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I honestly read The Serpent and the Wings of Night like towards the end of last year, but I honestly don't really remember much about what happened in it, and so I will be putting off reading this one for a while unless someone like tells me what happens in the whole entire first book as like a little memory refresher. Otherwise I may have to like reread that first book before I go into this one. But yeah, that was the last book. I feel like I do have quite a few books to get through, some very good books as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next one.